23 of the fantasy basketball season. And here's a few centers I would look to add where it's the championship for most leagues this week. The first guy is Marvin Bagley III of the Detroit Pistons. So the move to Detroit towards the NBA trade deadline was a great one for him and his fantasy value. On the season, 11 points a game, 7.1 rebounds, 49% from the field. With the last few weeks here, 14.7 points a game, 6.6 rebounds, 1.3 assists, and 51% from the field. So right here, he's had some monster games in the last week here. And I know he's not available in many fantasy leagues. Still, though, at 42% of leagues, he's out there in Bagley. And he definitely can help owners in field goal, scoring, and rebounding. March 23rd versus Atlanta, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals at 30% from the field. March 25th versus Washington, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, a block, 62% from the field. And March 27th versus the Knicks, 27 points, 7 boards, a block, a 3, 78% from the field. So this Piston team obviously not playing for anything. They're one of the worst teams in the league, and young guys like Bagley, they're going to play a lot of minutes. And that's what he's been doing since he got traded there, about 30, 35 minutes a game. And right now, he's a big pickup this week here. And surprisingly, like I mentioned, available in 42% of fantasy leagues. And he's a center I would add this week. The next guy is Eubanks of the Portland Trailblazers. So Eubanks, he signed 4 10-day contracts. And I don't know why they just didn't sign him for the rest of the season here. Obviously, they're banged up and injured. And Eubanks, he's been playing a lot of minutes, 6.6 points a game on the season, 5.1 rebounds, 1.2 assists, and 57% from the field. But the last few weeks here, he's been very good, 15.6 points a game, 8.9 rebounds, 2.4 assists, and 65% from the field. So I mentioned him as an ad last week here, and he's paying dividends once again as Eubanks. Available, though, still in 44% of fantasy leagues, but he's had some monster games like I mentioned. March 23rd versus the Spurs, 20 points, 9 boards, 4 assists, a steal, 2 threes, 61% from the field. March 25th versus Houston, 18 points, 5 rebounds, and assists, 75% from the field. And then March 26th versus Houston, again a huge game, 14 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 50% from the field. So right here, his specialties, scoring double digits about, big rebounder, and also a guy who's going to have a good field goal percentage, so you can't go wrong with anything like that. And he qualifies at power forward and center, and he's one of the bigger pickups this week that definitely could help you try to win your championship, quarterfinal game, or even your third place game here. But he's definitely a guy who would go out there and add this week. The next center is Roby of the OKC Thunder. So Roby, it's been a decent season for him, 8.6 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 50% from the field. But the last month of the season, he's playing good, 11.1 points a game, 5.9 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 1.1 steals, and 50% from the field. In the last few games here for him, March 21st, it was a down one for him. No points, 7 rebounds, an assist, a block, 0% from the field, 0 for 6. March 23rd versus Orlando, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 threes, 41% from the field. And March 26th at Denver, 12 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 85% from the field. So he's playing about 25, 30 minutes a game here is Roby. And he's available right now in 79% of fantasy leagues. He's going to help you in scoring. His rebounding's pretty good, and his field goal is usually better than what it's been over the last few games here. So if you need some center help, Roby definitely can help fantasy owners this week. And also could be a decent streaming option on days during the week where you need a player to fill in when you don't got many guys playing. The next center I looked at this week's Hartenstein. Los Angeles Clippers. So Hartenstein, he's had value on and off this season here, but right now he's available widely in 86% of fantasy leagues. On the season, 8 points a game, 4.6 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 1.2 blocks a game, and 63% from the field. But the last couple weeks here, 11.3 points a game, 5.8 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1 steal, 1.2 blocks, 65% from the field. So right now he's giving owners 5 or 6 categories here, especially with the steals, and even the assist for a center is very good here for Hartenstein. March 18th at Utah, 4 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 4 blocks, 33% from the field. March 22nd at Denver, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. And March 25th versus Philly, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, a 362% from the field. So when he's getting 20-plus minutes a game here, Hartenstein's going out there And he's having very good stat lines here. And he can help you, like I mentioned, 4 or 5 categories, which is definitely huge, especially in head-to-head and points leagues here. So he's definitely a center I would go out there and get this week. And the fifth and final center I looked at is Nicolas Claxton of the Brooklyn Nets. Claxton, he's been added in 13% of fantasy leagues over the last week. And I know Andre Drummond was out and he just returned to the lineup a couple games ago. But Claxton's still going out there and putting up decent numbers on the season. 8.7 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 1.2 blocks, 66% from the field. But the last few weeks here, 10.6 points a game, 6.6 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 1.1 blocks a game, and 74% from the field. So Claxton, he's going to be great for field goal percentage. He's going to get you about 8 or 9 points a game, 6 or 7 rebounds, and he's specialist at blocking shots, 1 or 2 a game. So the last few games for him, March 23rd at Memphis, 7 points, 5 boards, a block, 100% from the field. March 26th in Miami, 10 points, 6 boards, an assist, a steal, 2 blocks, 100% from the field. Then March 27th versus the Charlotte Hornets, he had 11 points, 5 rebounds, a steal, 2 blocks, and 92% from the field. So Claxton's playing great basketball. And this is what the Nets need, some big man help behind Andre Drummond, because he's the only true center, him and Claxton there. And he's a guy that can help fantasy owners in many ways, like I mentioned, and he's very efficient from the field as well. So that's a few centers I look to add here in most championship rounds of Week 23 of the fantasy basketball season.